Hello everybody, I'm going to show you now how to make a coil pot. So to start that, I have made a little round disc like you have done before when you started your pinch pots. So it looks like a flat, very flat pancake, but it's not too thin. It has quite a solid little edge, which is important, otherwise you're going to end up with a flimsy coil pot. For making a coil pot, you obviously have to make the coils. So you take a lump of clay and you squeeze it into a long thin shape like this, and then you roll it out on the table like you probably have done before for rolling out dough or something, or Play-Doh. So you end up with the coil like this. I'm going to make a few of those so I don't have to wait so much, or you don't have to wait so much longer when I do the actual pot. So when you roll a coil, it helps if you spread your fingers and put them together again and then spread them out whilst you roll out the coil. It just helps to make the whole thing a bit more even, because making a coil isn't actually that easy, which I think is a bit mean, but there you go. So I've got two coils about that length, and I'm going to show you a secure way of making a coil pot so that it's not going to come apart in the firing, because you can do it without slip, but with a little bit of slip your pot will have a far better survival chance. So I put a little bit of slip around the rim like that. Can you see that? Just a bit, not too much, otherwise it's going to get really slimy. And then I'm putting the coil on and I'm squeezing it down just a bit, just to touch it to the little disc. And then when you come to the bit where the new coil starts, again you put a little bit of slip on there, just very little, and you place the coil over the top. So it looks like this, and on the other side, where I only had one coil, it looks like that. So I'm going to carry on this side now, and I'm going to place my next coil in that gap. When I start the new level, I'll put a little bit of slip on it, and I place my coil on that. Put a little bit of slip on a new level, and up it goes like that. Because you've used a bit of slip in between the coils, this is probably going to stick quite nicely. But if you want to make the surface smoother and not so wobbly, then you have to use your fingertips and smooth the surface out like that. Your aim, apart from making it look smoother, again, is to make all these different bits of clay into one bit of clay. That's the kind of way you have to think about it. So you squishle them up and down, and then you're going to end up with a surface which I think is going to look a bit like a straw beehive, but we can do something about that, so you're not going to be stuck with that. And if you're really fastidious about this, then you do the same thing on the inside of the pot as well. It's not absolutely necessary, but I think it looks nicer. And if you want to make another mug or something to drink tea out of, it's going to be an awful lot easier to clean if you haven't got these little wobbly bits showing on the inside. However, this is just a pot to show you how it's done in the first place. So I'm now pinching it up a bit to reach a bit more height, working my way round and round and round, and it's really uneven. So just to finish off this little pot, I'm putting on another coil, and I'm placing the end of the coil off the end of the other one which I had before, so that it's lots more even. And I work my way round, squish it on, and then use my thumb to attach two coils to each other. Do it like that. Can you see that? Right, that should do. Okay, so now you have this rather untidy looking little pot, which is rustic and charming. But if you want to be less rustic, indifferently charming, then you need to use your wooden spoon. And you're going to paddle the pot, or rather you're going to hit it gently, because then you can get rid of the unevennesses. Hang on, I'm just going to put a little lump on the seam here because that irritated me a bit. So, if you want to smooth out the surface, you have to support the pot from the inside with your fingertips. Take a spoon, round side pointing outwards, and you start hitting the pot gently. Always support it from the inside with your fingertips, otherwise the whole thing is going to cave in. And you just paddle your way around. And you will see that the surface is going to become a lot more smooth and even, which is probably what you want. So I'm just going to work my way around here. Fortunately it's a small pot, otherwise I'll be at this for hours. So there you go. Still uneven, but a lot smoother than what it was. And the other thing I was going to show you about coil pots is that you can influence the shapes. Here's one I prepared earlier. You can make your pot go in or out. You don't actually have to have a shape that's just sort of going straight up like a cylinder. So if you want to change direction, you need another coil. And you roll it out as fast as you can, like that. Take your pot, put a bit of slip around the rim, and because I want to make a vase and I want this pot to go in because I wanted to have a kind of float, I'm placing the coil a little bit on the inside of the coil underneath, so it looks like that. So I have a head start for the shape I want to make. And I just put the next one even further in. So right now it looks like that. And now I can use my fingers again and smooth the whole thing out. You have to remember that I'm doing this very, very fast. So it's not going to be as lovely and pretty as it could be if I were to take more time. But then I think you just get bored and wander away. And that wouldn't really be very useful either for me. So I've made this a lot smaller in the top. And I can pinch this in now with my fingers because I have plenty of clay. Like that. And this would be a strangely shaped vase if I wanted to. I'm going to try and even out the top now, so it doesn't look quite so wonky. So I put that on without slip because this is for demonstration purposes only, and it's not going to get fired because you can bend this back out and make a little lip like that, and that would be a pretty good little vase, I think. You can paddle the top of it as well, like I showed you earlier, to get a smoother texture, or rather a smoother surface. But there you are. So that's one way of making a coil pot. And I was going to show you what you can actually do with coil pots, because this is just the method which I'm showing you on a small thing. But what you can achieve with it if you keep going, or if you get really, really good at this, is actually quite amazing. Hang on, I'm just going to go and get another pot for you to have a look at. Bear with me. Right, I'm coming back because there's this. A friend of mine made this, and it's pretty massive. Can you see? That's done with coils. So he's a very patient man, and he's very, very good at it because the surface is beautifully smooth, and on the inside it looks like that. You can just about make out that it has been made out of coils. But that's not everything, because you can actually go even bigger, because an assistant of mine actually made this. You see? So that is a coil pot that's made out of little bits of clay which are sitting on top of each other, and it's enormous. You could put umbrellas in there or hide a cat or something. So there you go. just to let you know that you don't have to make small things, but if you want to make something this massive, you need practice. You just have to do it a lot. However, it's nice. It's useful. So keep potting, everybody, and I'll be back in a few days. Bye-bye.